Now, it is crucial for Thailand to be moving into this inflection point and to come out with the kind of restructuring, real restructuring efforts to be able to make a difference. Mainly because of the fact that the business as usual scenario is just not valid anymore for Thailand. It is going to be quite outdated soon, if not now already, that Thailand can depend on the kind of cheap labor costs to attract foreign investors. And Thailand can just also not participate in the race to the bottom. To the race to the bottom, to give away everything and anything to be able to convince investors to come in and invest in Thailand. Thailand will have to do better than this, but to be able to position itself into the niche market for investors to be looking at Thailand, that it cannot only provide for cheap labors and land and things like that, but can also be a place where some hubs of activities can be created. And this is something that I thought the BOI has done well to come out with this report, and I would try to relay some of the trends that we are seeing happening in the world today with what BOI has been presenting and what Thailand can do about it. The first trend, of course, is one that we've been speaking all the time, but something which I'm not so sure whether the kind of efforts in Thailand are really guided and directed in that direction, which is a trend of food security issues. Now, food security is not to go away, is an issue that is not going to go away easily. It's actually one of the prime issues at the United Nations at the moment, food insecurity, starvation, malnourishment. Food security is really not a crisis issue. It's a permanent issue at the moment. It's a permanent issue because of the 1 billion people being malnourished and increasing from years to years. All the commitments by the donor countries to place more funds into the agricultural development investments have not always been honored and committed and fully delivered. So at the moment, we are seeing the trends that for countries like Thailand, it's just not a loose saying to be saying that Thailand can be really the place where we can provide food for the world. If only we can increase our productivity a little bit more, if we can only try to toe the lines of international standards, if we can really secure the kind of food safety net standards that will have to be committed to so that our markets can be maintained and that we can have the kind of investment into our countries that can help to create all this. It's not to have investment per se into agriculture that we would be needing in Thailand. But it is just to add value to what we can produce in Thailand that is crucial. And adding value in terms of processing, packaging, safety net concerns, standardization, organic standards and things like that, is something that we will have to work with foreign technology. And of course, sometimes homegrown technology can help. Together can create the kind of environment that we can move forward to make food really a key industry for Thailand. And if I looked at the statistics, you would not fail to see that in terms of mobilization of investment from abroad, agriculture sector is not one of the most attractive sectors in Thailand. In fact, most of the things that Thailand has been successful in doing is mobilization of funds into areas of petrochemical, automobile, electronics, electrical goods, and things like that, which is very good for Thailand. Which are all very good for Thailand, but I think it's time now to be really thinking beyond that. It's not really new thinking, because it's just answering to the kind of traditional strengths that we always have had in our history and up till now. It's just to add something of value to it. The second point of the trend that I would like to draw your attention to is the forthcoming meeting in May this year in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, the Rio Plus 20 Sustainable Development Meeting. Now at Rio Plus 20 meeting, Sustainable Development Conference, this is already 20 years. This is already 20 years after 1992, when we the UN staged the first Sustainable Development Meeting, and to try to get people to understand why we need to be not only talking about sustainable development, we have to practice it. We have to leave things for our own children and grandchildren. We need to leave things for the next generation. So it has to be sustainable. We just cannot consume away all the supplies of the planets and leave nothing around. I hope that we will be coming up with different kind of agreements that would harmonize and reconcile how we are going to promote investment into green economies without actually impeding the kind of trade expansion that we would like to see. The third area that could be an area of perspective that countries like Thailand really can lash itself to easily, which is in the lifestyle industry. The lifestyle industry, because of the growing prosperity of people around the world, and particularly in this region, people take care more of their health, take care more of their leisure time, taking care more of their vacation, their education. So there'll be a lot of industries that are linked to tourism with healthcare, eco-tourism. And the thing that we are trying to promote very strongly at UNCTAD is to try to promote the so-called creative industry. So this is an area in which we can talk about the cultural diversification, talk about literacy work, talk about entertainment, animation, design, architectural work, and things like that. And I have been actually consulting with some of the Thai officials that one of these days we should have Thailand as a cultural capital of this region. It's easily to be done, as we have been doing, working with Istanbul, that has become the cultural capital of Europe, because it's a bridge between Asia and Europe for the past few centuries. I will go quickly to the fourth and fifth points in that I certainly think that Thailand stands a good chance of latching into this new mode of investment, which is called non-equity mode. This non-equity mode is a new mode of investment that doesn't involve equity participation, but it involves franchising, involves contracting, involves sharing of benefits, management contract, and things like that. And this is a mode in which we are seeing being practiced more and more so now. And at the moment, in the areas of IT, business processes, outsourcing, these are new areas in which Thailand can direct our investment approach into, and can guide it into a way that we can have homegrown industries that can contract these non-equity modes from abroad without having to engage in the kind of equity investment. And this is an increasing mode of participation in the investment area. A few more things on the nature of the transnational cooperation that Thailand will have to cope with. I would advise that there are now a lot of new TNCs that are emerging. I've been talking about the state-owned TNCs, sovereign wealth fund. Now we are talking about TNCs coming from emerging countries. And here lies a vast new areas that Thailand can work with so that we can make ourselves suitable to be approached by all these emerging countries, TNCs, that will be looking for ways and means to be jointly investing in areas of intermediate level of production. Not too high technology, not too low technology, but at the right level that can be agreed with. As we know now, the trade between emerging countries is about one-third of the global trade, and it's expanding very quickly. So here lies another area in which Thailand can lash itself into. I would like to end by just reminding our colleagues within the Board of Investment, also in the government of Thailand, that having listened yesterday to our honorary advisors, investment advisors, I think we have to be serious with what we are hearing. We are hearing a lot about the need to upgrade the level of skill of human resource in Thailand. And that a lot of industries that are willing to participate to help with the Thai government to upgrade the skill. So the skill element is really an absolutely needed element for Thailand. Secondly, the need to be looking at logistics. I've heard, I think, one of my colleagues this morning saying things about investment in infrastructure. Since the financial crisis in Asia, since 1997, 1998, in the aftermath of that crisis, Thailand has not lived up to the normal trends of investment into infrastructure. Before that crisis, Thailand used to invest at least 10% of the GDP into infrastructure. Since then, it has dropped to only 5%. This has been half, so people might be saying we've become so poor. I don't think we have become that poor that we do not have the kind of priority that we can bring up so that we can invest more. And as Dr. Viewpoint was saying, most of our infrastructural platforms, ports, communication, transportations, are getting to be outdated quickly. And this is something, if we want to link up and compete with our neighboring countries and to project Thailand as a hub, we need to be able to direct at this effort quickly as possible. So my last word is that much as we can laud the effort of the Board of Investment to come up with these 5-year plans, I do wish and hope that, particularly with the manpower requirements that could be actually read into this plan, that people will take care that these are being translated into terms of action, not by the Board of Investment itself, but by all the supporting agencies of the government, which have to be as good as their words. If they promise things to the investors, they have to come up with that. And for me, the investors who've been around with us through thick and thin in the last 10, 20, 30, 50 years, some of them has been with us for 50 years, they can never be left alone, can never be ignored. And the Thais are known to be actually cherishing their old friends. So I do hope that whatever policies that the Thai government practice, seeking new venues, new areas, they should not forget their old friends. Thank you very much for your attention.
If the government and private sector work together efficiently, then definitely all the opportunities that Thailand has to offer will turn into reality. See you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ